Great.
Got it.
Great.
Okay.
So let me go back then to more make host. Right, you're back in the room.
Okay. Okay, I will start. Look at you. You're a pro at this already. Yeah? 7 people we're going to admit. This is impressive. Good luck, Mark. You're going to do great. Here we go.
We're all going to
Sue.
do good.
I'll let you take the lead, Mark.
Say again?
I'll let you take the lead.
Shanti's taken the lead initially.
Ah, okay.
Evening, everyone. I'm not sure if anybody can hear us yet.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Hello. How do you actually?
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, we'll get started in about 5 minutes.
How do you take your mic off?
Yes, Mark.
Hmm?
I'm Mark.
Hmm.
Where was it? Go onto the no, go onto those.
Hmm.
No, go move in. No, 3 dots.
Right, let mute. Let's take your mic off mute.
Okay.
Is everybody on mute, Shanti? Do we know?
Yeah.
There are quite a few on mute, which
Yeah.
they should be
That's what I
during
thought,
the. yeah.
Okay. Nearly ready.
And for those of you who are waiting, we have about 3 minutes before the webinar gets started. In the chat, can you just let us know how you found out about this webinar? There are various ways we marketed this webinar. It's absolutely free, but if you could just let us know how you found out about it, it will help us to better gear our next.
You hit it.
Our marketing for the next topic. So.
It would be good to know any questions as well, Shanti.
Sure, yeah. Great, thanks. It's wonderful. And if you have questions you want the Mark and Andrew to answer either during the webinar or at the end, you can also put that in our chat box. Our goal is to get all the questions answered tonight, or as many as we can. Oh, Claire is rejoining. Okay, just about 2 minutes. This is.
Have the cat trying to join me then. You've heard me say it before. There she is. I couldn't get away.
Might have children in the background coming in the door.
Yeah, I know. That was a classic one, isn't it? So, oh, I just had to send someone else the link again as well. So we should.
Okay.
Just a few more, but coming thick and fast.
Okay. Just about a minute, Mark and Andrew. Yeah.
Mhm.
Have you been out today, Mark?
Sorry,
Have you been out today?
I've not been out today. No, luckily I'm out all day tomorrow. But no, yourself, were you out today?
Briefly this afternoon. Yeah, just for a time.
Everybody's been it via Facebook pretty much, so it's good.
Okay. We're at about 50% of the registrants are on.
Mhm.
And Mark, if you want to give everyone another minute or two.
Yeah,
we
just
can
a
do
minute
that
or
as
so. I
well.
mean, they keep coming in, don't they? I'm conscious that I don't want to keep people waiting that have been waiting already. But just stay a little bit patient, maybe. A minute or so.
We can do another minute, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. For those who came on in the past minute or two, if you could put yourself on mute, that would be great. And in the chat, you can let us know how you found out about this webinar. We would appreciate it. Okay. Oh, Sansky is on.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So you should know what's coming up.
Perfect.
WhatsApp,
Great.
Facebook, and LinkedIn.
Yeah. Mhm.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Christine.
Okay, I'll just take a minute to introduce myself. I'm we have more people joining here. Mark, there are quite a few people joining, so maybe we wait a minute. Yeah. Yeah, still a few more coming in. So I'll just take a few seconds and then I'll continue to admit people as you get started, Mark. Okay. So thanks everyone. This is great. This is really an amazing attendance, and it looks like social media is a primary source of people learning about this webinar, which is great. So my name is Shanti Tulsi, and I'm the marketing analytics for these two amazing men that are about to talk about the work they've been doing. So please post any questions that you have about this webinar or any future topic in the chat. That's what we're going to be referring to as Mark and Andrew go through this presentation. And any questions that cannot be answered tonight will be follow up with an email or a phone call tomorrow by either Mark or Andrew. So with that, I will turn it over to Mark. And if you could put yourself on mute, that would be great.
Thank you.
Well, let me get my earphones.
I'm doing it, yeah. Yep. Okay, Mark,
You muted Mark, Shanti.
did I mute Mark?
Right. I've unmuted myself now as well, so thank you, Shanti. If you just go to the next slide, please.
Sure. Okay.
Okay, great. So thank you everyone for attending this evening, this morning, this afternoon, where you're from. I think we have quite a selection of people from Canada, Italy, South Africa, Australia, I think there is as well, and people that we're recording for further east as well, who couldn't make tonight's webinar, unfortunately. So my name is Mark Palmer from Forbury Services, and myself and Andrew are going to be just trying to run through a little bit of what we do, how we help people find properties. We hopefully do a little bit, but hopefully do it quite well. We've all been in the business for quite a long time, so there's lots of experiences we've got, plenty of tips that we can try to do. And we're trying to get as many questions answered as we can. Appreciate it's going to be a bit later for some people, so I understand that, that's fair enough, but we really don't want to be sort of taking over people's times, you know, for too long, basically. So we will cover background on ourselves, common problems, there's numerous problems, as you know, tenancy lengths, pets are always an issue, obviously, etc., etc., where you want to be with schooling, etc. A cost of living overview is pretty important because utilities, council tax, shopping average, travel costs can be quite expensive in the south, more than the north potentially. But between us, we've got 50 years of experience building up and nurturing relationships with estate agents, and that's what we've done for a long time. So that's our real niche. So this is me in a suit, which is not very often happening. Obviously nowadays a little bit more casual than this, we don't need to be. But I've been in the property business since 1986, so quite a long time, 35 years. Started in an agency selling houses in 1986 all the way through to 2007. So 21 years selling houses, and then since 2007 I've been helping people with corporate relocation. So Shanti's moved several times herself, but generally speaking, since 2007, I've been moving people to England from numerous countries around the world into rented houses mainly, but help with buying, because I'm quite rare that I've been the estate agent for 21 years, but also the letting side for 14 years. So I've dealt with both. I've been a landlord since 1999, so 22 years, and I've been a tenant since 2011, 10 years. I've also involved lettings property management division of 250 properties. So pretty much every problem you can come up with, I've been either the landlord, the tenant, the agent. I've seen it from every angle. So I would know what to say to an estate agent, what not to say to the estate agent sometimes. It's just as powerful as to what you should or shouldn't say, when to say it, when not to say it, how to negotiate. We'd always like to deal with the owner of the business if we could, obviously. It doesn't always happen. But if I pick up the phone, and we do have to make a lot of phone calls, we're making sometimes 30, 35 phone calls in a day. So we're just being paid for our time and our experience, but this is how we negotiate. You could be an architect, you could be a painter, you could be anything. But my 35 years and Andrew's 15 years is building that rapport with the agent, because I had a client a few weeks ago who said to me, Mark, just answer me one question. How do I get an estate agent to email me from another country? I have no idea. They don't email me back, so they're not going to email anybody else back. It's just terrible. It's so hard. And Andrew's laughing because we both have it. We have to be on that phone constantly, pushing hard, but not too hard, softly enough. We've got to build that rapport with them to become their friends, but you are our friends because you are our clients, basically, and the landlord's clients are with the estate agents. So I just want to run through this Google review, which came from a good friend of mine, Troy, in the mortgage side of the business over here. The couple looking in the south of England, Guildford, looking around about 16, 17, 1800 pounds. We weren't finding the right kind of property because she was here on her own with her mother. She was pregnant. She was 4 or 5 months pregnant, I think, and a 3-year-old, and her husband wasn't able to join for a few months. It was pretty stressful. So she's moving from one area to another area. We couldn't find the right property because she needed like a granny annex type accommodation, a self-contained annex that her mother could kind of separately live in. And so we pulled away from Guildford, went a bit further west. We found something towards Reading Way, and the asking price was £2,050 per month, so 2050. And she said, I'm happy to pay that. It's a little bit more than I wanted to, but I'm happy to pay it. But I said, look, let me just speak to the agent, because that pesky £50 was annoying me. It was just, why is it an unlevel figure? I'm a Libran, so I want fairness and equality for everybody. But so I got it down to £2,000, agreed that. So great, saved her £600 for the year. And she was happy to move in at the end of the month. But I said, look, you don't want to move until the middle of next month. So again, let me push it. I'm not going to lose the house. I'm not going to, lose the negotiations and everything we've done then. But we found the right property. She was happy to do it. I pushed the date back to the middle of next month, and I saved another £1,000. That was £1,600. And the last thing, finally, because she had no UK credit, you'd normally or are often asked to put 6 months down up front. But we managed again, the estate agent made a mistake, and I hit them on it pretty hard to say, right, that's it, we're paying monthly, and I held strong, and we got them to pay monthly. So why give the money to the estate agent or the landlord when it's better off in your bank account? So it was one of my first Google reviews as well, and it started this year, which was, it's not great to ask people for reviews. It's not my normal moderate, I can't think of the words now, but you know what I mean. Modus operandi, that was it. So yeah, enough about me, and introduce to Andrew.
Hi everyone, and yeah, thank you for taking the time to join us. My history is not as long as Mark's. I'm catching up on the grey hairs as well. So I actually started I was only born in 1984 myself. So actually invested in property in 2004. And it was in 2008 when I moved into property finding. So we initially worked for a global relocation company, helping people from all over the world be relocated to the UK. It was a pleasant thing to do, but it was very much a numbers game with the global relocation agents, which I didn't like. So we came down to a more personal level, on an independent level, and came out on our own in 2013. We deal with smaller numbers, but it's a lot more personal setup. It's one-to-one. We will coordinate and help with as much in the relocation side as we can. We're predominantly property finding and helping with schools. So it's, but we can coordinate with all areas such as shipping and things like that. Master's degree in property gained in 2010. So through that, we've got our investment side, which we understand property and work with the agents on that and develop relationships, and then just growing organically, a bit like Mark, through word of mouth. So generally people don't know property finders exist in the UK. We work for you. So our job is to get you the best deal at the best price for the right timing. So we've worked with clients from all over the world with all different needs, and it's that personal touch, I suppose, of what everyone needs, because everyone is different. So that's what we listen to. Next one too. I suppose touching on the reviews, I kind of started, it was 2 years ago, just asking for general reviews and stuff from people who'd helped move. This was a family we moved from the US. It was mid-COVID, so it wasn't ideal, and they were arriving with 2 dogs. So that was another tricky one. And we managed to agree it, actually, £200 under the asking rent. It didn't hit the property portals, so we managed to get it off market, and we managed to get quite a few additions as well. So we got all the white goods included, and we got beds included as well. So when they arrived, the basic furniture was there while they waited for the shipment coming from the US. So we're still in touch with Linnea and Rob now, and they're good friends, and well, due to meet them in a couple of weeks. So I suppose from our view, it was we wanted to highlight a few hurdles and then highlight the way around it. So the first one is kind of good property options. Now there's so many different property portals out there. The top three are probably Rightmove, Zoopla, and On the Market. At the minute, it's quite competitive for property. So what we currently ask clients to do is to almost do a property CV, so we can sell the client to the agent. And also with pets, we're a pet loving country, but unfortunately when it comes to rentals, there is kind of a lot of adverse no pets adverts you'll see. So we try and build a relation. Obviously we've got the relationship with the agents, but we'll also have this property CV and also a picture of the cutest looking picture of a cat or a dog, to send that to them almost as a pre-application, even before we view properties. Going on to school applications, this is the chicken and egg. So a lot of the school applications, if it's state schools, they will ask for a property address. One thing is do you get school first or do you get the property first? If it's state schools, you'll generally be reliant on your property address. One thing to check for the school applications, it's called Ofsted, and that's a government inspector, and all state schools are rated by Ofsted, and they will rate the school from outstanding through to terrible, basically. So the Ofsted reports for every school is a really good one, and we'll touch on a website you can use towards the end of the webinar. Applications wise, you can do school tours. Obviously, if you're not in the UK, we can help on this. But private schooling and independent schooling, you can do school tours, and we can feed back on things as well. Suppose number 3, credit rating is pretty key. The way we advise is kind of get your UK bank account opened as soon as possible. Get a credit card as soon as possible, and just put little amounts on it and make sure it's paid off every month. That will just build the credit rating over 3-6 months, because when you first arrive in the UK, you've effectively got no credit rating. So it becomes difficult for buying cars if you're buying on credit, buying a house eventually. So the idea is to build that credit rating as quick as possible. British slang, we see a lot in the SAPA groups and other groups. So there's a couple of ones we touched on. So it's kind of, do you want a cuppa? Generally means, do you want a cup of tea? So if someone says, do you want a cuppa? It's not a random question. It's a general greeting of a cup of tea. If they say, I'm knackered, it generally means they've had a long day and they're pretty tired. So they're pretty ready, probably ready for a cuppa. And if they say chuffed to bits, that will generally mean they are pretty happy with what's going on. There is loads of British slang, and I know kind of we hear slang all the time when we're with individuals from all over the world. So we know braai is a favourite one with the South Africans. And to be fair, we love a braai as well. We call them barbecues, but it's like a poor man's braai. So whenever we get invited for a braai, we're both really excited. And new social life, I suppose when you move, it's a bit of overwhelm, anxiety, thinking, have you done the right thing? The social life is key. So it's there is loads of things to utilize, such as Meetup, which is a great website. For those with young children, there's a great website and an app called Mush. And then there's loads of local Facebook groups as well. So if you have any questions, like where do I get my coffee creamer, or where do I get good beef jerky, generally on the Facebook groups, there is 10, 20, 50 other people from being through what you've been through, and will answer. So they're all pretty proactive in answering them kind of questions as well. So. You're muted, Mark.
I'm sorry, I do. Everybody does it all the time. We all know, so we've all seen the videos of it. So, thanks, Andrew. It's really good. So, cost of living. It is very hard to get an exact figure, but this is hopefully what it's supposed to be, an approximate type of living. So, we have London, which could be very expensive, obviously. But if you're typically in the south, now we split the country. Me and Andrew. Andrew lives in Manchester, so he would pretty much deal generally with Birmingham and above. And I would deal with below Birmingham, generally speaking. That's how we kind of split it. So we're trying to give some kind of figures to give you an idea of what it's going to cost to literally live in the city centre. A rough idea. Transportation in London will obviously be more expensive than it will be maybe for the trams in Manchester. But we very roughly say if you're spending, just say £1,000 a month, for utilities and broadband, TV license. Not many people have heard of the TV license. You have to pay, I think it's £12 a month for that to watch television. We have to pay for garden waste, which Shanti is appalled at, I have to say. And yeah, but I think Andrew doesn't pay it in Manchester, is that right?
No,
Yeah,
it's within the council tax. So we do, but it's a secret one.
It's a southern tax. We're being taxed for living in the south. It's outrageous. Perhaps we'll write to Boris, who knows. But he won't reply anyway. So, but the things to add on top of that are, yeah, utilities, which can be an absolute minefield in itself as well. Gas, water, electricity. But we can help with all this as well. We have connections with people who can sort that for you. And some people on the webinar have already used that facility. It's very, very useful. You can spend a day phoning around trying to arrange utilities. It is not worth it. It generally is not worth it. They can help you with your broadband, TV, mobile, etc., even bank account opening as well, I think. If you have a preferred partner, great, fantastic. Potentially help with car insurance. We've been asked about pet insurance recently as well, and that's something they're looking into as well, because many people come with pets. That's a good idea. There are other websites called Compare the Market websites, which are pretty good to give you just an overall kind of comparable website amongst other things to look for. But in generally speaking, the rough rule of thumb, if you're spending £1,000 or whatever you're spending on the rent, if you add on roughly 20-25%, you should cover the council tax, utilities, etc., etc. If you're living on your own, the council tax, you get 25% discount, not 50, unfortunately, 25%. It's quite important, but they're very slow at writing to you, so you won't overpay. And nothing ever gets disconnected. If you're moving it, taking a property at the 10th of November, but you're not moving it for another 2 weeks, nothing will be turned off. The meters will be read. It's all very good. Nothing's a problem. So you'll I think I was muted again. For our South African friends, there's no load shedding anywhere, so you don't have any power cuts. We have the odd one, maybe, but it's not like we've heard over there. So it's pretty tough, I think. But it's just to give you a bit of a rough idea on costings, just to give you each. It will be individualized because we've got a number of people that have come on the webinar that are going to be looking in different areas in and around London. London in the south is more expensive than the north, but the weather's a little bit warmer, as Andrew will probably profess to as well. So, but there's benefits for both. It generally tends to be maybe where you have friends and relatives living there before, where the schools are, or maybe just where you're working. Could be any number of those things, but it just gives you a good indication of where we are.
And if I may add to that, at the end of the webinar, we will follow up with some additional resources, but one of the a good resource is the council, whatever area you live in, your local borough council is a good. They're not necessarily the most responsive, or us Americans love things to be done immediately. So it may take a while, but it is a good resource to go to your local borough council, and a list of resources will be available, and a follow-up email that will go out.
Thank you.
And Mark, to add to your disconnect, and my experience here is we didn't get our water switch over for 3 months when we
But nothing gets disconnected, does it? So
I'm
it's
moving to
fine.
Scotland where I don't need to pay a water bill, but nothing indeed don't get disconnected. So, but yeah, okay, great.
Okay.
So I think that we've gotten some questions in the chat box, leading to schools, asking about schools, but we can get to that in just a minute. Oh, perfect.
So Andrew.
Andrew.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, the idea of the webinars is just, we appreciate there is so many moving parts when it comes to relocation. So me and Mark kind of work in the property find aspect. We appreciate with kind of, if you're moving from overseas, there is visas, there is tax, there is schooling questions. So we can help with the basics of schooling, but then there is school search consultants who can kind of, who have a lot, that's their sole job, who are a lot more experienced. So the idea is to try and do one a month, and we will record each one. Anyone who wants them, just drop us an email or an Instagram. We can pop over whichever one is of interest. And yeah, any other questions, feel free to drop us an email or Instagram as well. Two of the resources myself and Mark use quite a lot. Relocating.com is schools. Now, once you have your property, or even before you get your property, if you know there is a property of interest, if you go to relocating.com, you can put in the postcode, and generally it'll give you an aerial overview of the schools, primary and secondary. And you can click on them schools and it will give you quite a lot of information, such as number of pupils, quick links to the Ofsted ratings, stuff like that as well, which is really good. It saves a lot of time than going through every council website. For example, in Manchester, there's 8 or 10 different councils within Greater Manchester. So in terms of the other, it's twinkle.co.uk. That's a learning resource for primary schools children. My wife is actually a teacher herself. She uses this all the time for lesson plans. But the good thing is you can look at what your children will be learning even before you arrive, if they're going to state schools, because every state school will learn the same curriculum. So if your children's in year 2, for example, you can look at past papers, what they're learning this year. So it's really good just to get a basis of, okay, my child's overperforming or underperforming, so we need to improve before arriving in the UK. One thing to note, and this is why we wanted to do the schools search consultant next and bring it forward before the end of December, is because the 15th of January, the school applications close for primary schools if you're due to start. So it's just a date worth noting. You can still apply for schools after this, but it's classed as in-year applications. So you don't get to kind of a preference on school. The council will just look at the property you live in and then effectively give you a school. So you don't get a choice. So it gets a bit more tricky, but there is still a way around it. So don't worry on that front.
Thanks, Andrew. I think some of those websites were really, really great when I first saw them, because I didn't know you could look that far in the future as to what your child's going to be taught. So if you're going to a zoo or somewhere where they're actually, doing something on that, or Key Stage 2, Key Stage 3, that you can be talking about it in the next year or two where people are going to learn. So that's really, really great. Thank you for that. So people, thank you for attending everyone tonight. You've got our contact details here. Please either take a screenshot, photograph, email us if you need more detail. We'll try to answer some of the questions on here. It's very much a bespoke service that we do. You can enter these webinars free of charge every single time, so no problem at all. There's no charge for this. We're happy to do it. If you want to be engaged, we can move on to the next level, but we can talk about that off-site another time, not a problem at all. But more than happy to answer as much as we can. for you. 2 weeks time, we've put it there because of the schools. We want to be trying doing these on roughly about the 7th or 8th of each month, the beginning of each month. So the next one after November 24th will be probably the 8th of January, we think, something like that. But we just would like to know what you would like the next one to be. Would it be immigration, foreign currency, pet travel, immigration, removals, or something like that? Which is the next one you would like to see? So either in the chat, put that in there, or come back with our feedback. I'd be pleased to do that if we could.
Fatima just asked a question. Sorry, I should have elaborated on the date. So the school applications is the 15th for the following year. So our school year runs September to September. So you will apply before the 15th, preferably, and then you'll find out in April where your child will be going. So that is for reception year only. All other years is in your applications anyway. So it's if your children's in a year 3, year 4, it's not a date to be too worried about, should I say?
So I want to speak a little bit about the school and share my personal experience with anyone that's looking to relocate before the school year application process starts. The borough does not require a UK address to process the application. It does not. You can apply with your current address. A UK address, a foreign address, increase the chances of you not getting accepted in your school of choice. Okay, you get to choose 3 schools. An international address is less likely to give you your school of choice. However, there is no guarantee that you will not get the school of your choice. So I encourage everyone who is applying to school to apply with whatever address you have at the time of the application. Get it into the system, and when you have an address, you can update it with the borough. Now, you have to live in what they call the encatchment area to go to your school. So if you choose a school, if you have to live in that encatchment to automatically get into that school. If you live outside of the encatchment, you have to be approved by the borough to get in. I applied with an American address, and I'm not supposed to say this to any person that lives in my town. I applied with an American address, and we did get into our school of choice. So there is always that small % chance that you can get in to your #1 school of choice without a UK address. So I will put my contact email in the chat. If any one of you have specific information regarding the application process for a school, please feel free to reach out to me, but do not wait till you have a UK address to apply. I would recommend you do apply with your address that you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worthwhile to start as soon as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. And the way it works, I think in March, when you get the response, whether you get into your school of choice or not, you still have a window, like 3 to 4 weeks, where you can update your address with them and see if you get into your school of choice. But it's very, especially secondary school and even some primary school, depending on the year, it's very difficult to get in if you wait till you move, especially if your timeline is close to when school starts. So school is a very complex process here. And you may have to reach out to either to several resources, maybe the school, the borough, people like myself, multiple resources to get you to figure out what you need to do to get into the school of choice.
Thanks, Shanti.
Where do you apply for the school?
It's normally through the council.
It's through the council.
Yeah.
So you have to have an idea at least where you will live.
Yeah.
For example, I live in Wokingham. So I went through the Wokingham Borough Council. If you're in Reading, you will go through the Reading Council if you're living in Bracknell. So you have to have a sense of where you're going to be, not necessarily that in catchment, but the borough. Which borough will you live in? What town will you live in? And then you will go to that, contact that council.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of, I saw a question there about bank accounts in the UK. Well, myself and I think Mark has the same contact. So generally, they will ask for a UK address, but HSBC and Barclays are happy to open an account without an address. Or if you have a UK address with friends, family, or even a contact, you can open it with that address and then update. If you don't have that, if you have a job when moving to the UK, you just need to prove that you have the job and a salary. HSBC and Barclays can open the account even before you move. They will need a wet signature on arrival, but generally 95% of the work will be done via paper, via online. So.
Excellent. I think, Andrew, just going back to what you said about the schools and Shanti as well, is if you're looking for properties on Rightmove and Zoopla, it gives you generally I'm not sure it's the school catchment, but it gives you an idea of the nearest school as the crow flies generally. So you have an idea. A lot of people move to get the right schools, obviously. I wouldn't please hang up on the Ofsted reports being outstanding every time rather than be excellent. I think is the next one down, because the school might be outstanding, but it might be 3 or 4 years old. The report, headmaster might have retired, and his number 2, as my cat's just trying to come into my video, he might not be as good as the previous head, and he wants to have a different idea. But maybe look at the website, the PTA. Look at the ethos of the school, see what you think yourself, see what you feel comfortable with. And if you do get a chance to walk around the schools, we do many school visits, well, we used to pre-COVID, obviously. And I would just say to clients, just walk around and look at the children, see if they're happy, smiley, or they're too regimented or something, and just get your gut feeling. It's hard to measure that, whereas an Ofsted is, as we all know, with figures and statistics, as we all know, they can be distorted somewhat. So
that's true. Yeah. There's another question on schools. Yeah. Coming over in the middle of a school year, how would it work? Generally, if you're arriving in Jan-Feb, if you're arriving before the 15th, well, I would personally, it depends on area and age of your child. But you can start the application for January. It may be from February through to September. You'll just be allocated a school by the council, wherever you end up living. So if you arrive in February and you have a property, generally once you apply to the council, they have, I think it's 2 to 3 weeks to reply and allocate you a school. So there is a bit of a time lapse between arrival and going into school. I have found in the north, but I don't know if that's different in the south. So maybe Shanti or Mark can expand on that.
Sorry, Andrew, I was trying to focus on.
Now, I'm used to the school year the way it is here in the UK. I recommend to that person to contact the borough because they're very driven on date of birth. It's so they focus on the age of that child in that year. So I recommend that person to reach out to the borough. I'm not equipped with the knowledge to share on how they will, when the school year is different. I'm not used to that. I'm used to the same school year as the UK. In the US, we're August through May.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Some good suggestions there about webinar focused on pensioners relocating to the UK. I do with numerous people at all ages and with pets as well, a mixture with everything. So that's what we want to try to do, is just do a webinar once a month on as many different things as we can. But with pets, yeah, most people come with pets anyway. So, and that we had one of my toughest ones this year was a couple, and the lady said to me, "Oh, we have indoor cats as well." I said, "Okay, that's fine. It's no problem. How many indoor cats do you have?" And we have 7. Like, wow, okay, this is going to be pretty tough. And it was pretty tough, but we found something, a really nice place that they're happy as anything, that we found the property for them. But look, every problem has a solution, right? So we just have to find the way around it. But we have to, many phone calls, much negotiations. We're finding the right property for you, but we will get something for you, whether you have 1 cat, no cats, pensioners, non-pensioners, children, no children, whatever the limits are that you're looking for. We always, this is what we do. This is why we have to make those 30, 35 phone calls a day sometimes, and what we've built up the rapport with the estate agents to do that. So yeah, we'll be looking forward to do all types of webinars. So happy to not be specific on any particular age group, but yeah, for sure. I do, we see quite a few SAFA groups with pets as well. So yeah, relocating.
With the pets one as well, they're trying to push through government that you can't be discriminatory. Well, the rental market can't be discriminatory against pets. So you'll see a lot on the adverts on Rightmove, no pets, non-smoking, no DSS. So no DSS is effectively kind of social housing. But they're trying to kind of get rid of that, saying you can't discriminate against people who want a dog, for example. So that started in March of this year, but it's ongoing. So hopefully it will be good news for pets and for me and Mark, because that's the main hurdle for us, really.
You're right. Then they are not supposed to be prejudiced against people with pets, but we know, because there's such a shortage of houses at the moment, that they're just, if there's 5 people who want the property, 4 people don't have a dog or a cat, you're just not going to get it, unfortunately. But you know, you still need to take your pets with you, because that's part of your family. So we just have to find somebody that will take the pets. So it's harder, but that's our job. So it's fine. It's not a problem. And it's just getting used to the right people, speaking to the right people at the right time. So hopefully we're there. But we haven't not found anybody that won't take the pets that we've been introduced with. So don't worry about that.
I normally get, the pets are coming, non-negotiable, but we'll leave the kids at home. So it's like, okay.
Or the husband, maybe.
So based on the really interactive chat here, Mark and Andrew, school is a priority. We get that on together. And then right there with school is pensioners moving over and pets. So I think we can discuss the when we would like to have those 2 in early 2022, and maybe visa immigration one in March of 2022.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, anything tool that people think of, I think we've got, you know, most of it covered with foreign currency and utility setups and things like that. Honestly, it seems quite easy to set up a utility. It's not. It can take you a day.
Take you months. Yeah.
It can take you months. Yeah. I was trying to be less, but it's true. It can take you ages. So, but no, unless there's any other questions, are we all done? I'm aware it's a bit late for some people around the world.
Yeah, apologies, we've run over a bit. So, well, hopefully everyone found it worthwhile. And yeah, any questions? We're kind of, me and Mark are on the ground supporting people day to day. So if we don't know an answer, we'll kind of research it for you, or speak to someone in our network who should know the answer. We don't want to give you incorrect.
And if you would like to be contacted regarding upcoming webinars, please send Mark or Andrew an email, or follow them on Twitter, if not Twitter, sorry, Instagram. But the best probably will be to drop either one of them an email, and they're very responsive, and they will keep you updated on the upcoming webinars if you are not on any of the Facebook groups. which is where
And-
Arlington.
And literally any questions at all people have got, please don't worry about anything. Me and Andrew speak to many people many times before even making a decision to come over, or it's sometimes the smallest things, but just email us, message us, WhatsApp us, whatever you want to, as much as you like, because it's far easier. If we moved to Canada or America or South Africa or Australia, I'd be reaching out to you guys as well. You'd need to be helping us as to sort of where to go for your groceries or this particular product or something else. But we don't live in another country. But we deal with people. Most people we deal with don't live in England. So they're coming from another country. So we're used to all the different anxieties of people that you have, the stresses and the strains, and it's what we enjoy, problem solving. So we'll always find a solution and say the smallest problems, you can email us as many times as you like. Happy to try and just give you as much advice as we can, because we don't hold on to that knowledge. Just if we partake it to everybody else, and just make sure you then know, and it may help you, it may help a friend or brother, sister, aunt or something, however we can do it. But thanks for your time, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your
Have a
evening.
great evening.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye.
Oh, it was, let me give Mark a call.
More than